This is a 25-minute rise and shine flow meant to help you wake up and get ready for your day. We'll start lying down on our backs, settling into the breath. If you have longer than 25 minutes this morning, feel free to spend some extra time here pausing the video. But when you're ready, we'll take the arms up overhead and find a big stretch, fingertips to toe tips. Maybe reaching a little bit further through the right hand and then through the left hand a couple times. And with your next inhale, let's bring the knees into the chest for a big hug, maybe even rolling the chin toward the knees. And then we'll return the feet to the ground, this time with knees bent. Bring your upper arms by your body, bend the elbows for T-Rex arms, and let's press into your upper arms, trying to create a little air bubble beneath your shoulder blades. You can stay right there, or you can press into the feet and begin to lift the hips. And then with an exhale, lower the hips and flatten the upper back. And then let's do that again. Press into the upper arms, outer shoulders toward the floor, shoulder blades drawing together, maybe just staying there or lifting the hips. And then exhale, hips lower, right back down to the floor. One more time, creating that bubble beneath the upper back as you press into the ground. Staying right there or pressing into the feet, lifting the hips maybe a tiny bit higher this time. Outer shoulders really intentionally pressed back into the ground. And then exhale, lower your hips back to the floor. Release the arms from your T-Rex shape. And let's bring the knees into the chest one more time, grabbing shins or thighs and finding a little rock side to side. When you're ready, we'll open the arms out into a T and let both knees fall over to the right for a supine twist. Allow the shoulders to remain really heavy into the ground. And make sure that your right outer hip and thigh are relaxing into the floor. And big deep breaths into the belly and the low ribs. And then with your next inhale, let's come back to center. And exhale, legs over to the left. Settling in here, again, finding that heaviness of your shoulders, the depth of your breath. And then allowing an inhale to carry you back to center. We'll grab onto the legs one more time. This time starting to roll up and down the spine. We're going to make our way up and over into table, either using momentum or pressing up and over. So shoulders over wrists, hips over knees as you settle in. Let's start to move through some cat-cow. Inhale, belly drops, heart forward. Exhale, spine rounds toward the ceiling as the head falls between the arms. And just start to find your rhythm here. Inhaling, letting the belly expand. Exhale, gently tugging belly button towards spine to find that round and to empty out the exhale. Beginning to find that connection between the movement of your breath and the movement of your body. With your next inhale, we'll settle into table, flat back. Let the right leg start to float back behind you. And then we'll bend the right knee and find just the teeniest little kicks up toward the ceiling. So your whole low leg, knee to foot, will just simply lift up and down. A couple inches up, a couple inches down. With your next exhale, let's bring the knee in toward the heart. And then inhale, kick your leg back. And maybe let your left arm join, left arm reaching forward. Exhale, knee and or elbow in toward center. Inhale, stretch long. And then we'll rebend that right leg. Start to reach back with the left hand and moving the body as little as possible. See if you can capture the foot. If you can't, just keep reaching for it. If you do, press the foot into the hand. And then with your next inhale, without slingshotting, we'll release long. And then exhale, hand and shin back to the ground. Inhale into cow pose. Exhale all the way back through cat into child's pose. And let's rise on up, sitting on the heels. Bring the fingertips behind you on the floor and lift your hips into a modified camel pose. Hips come back down. And then we'll crawl forward into table and get the other side. So left leg comes back. On an exhale, let's bend that knee and start to take those tiny little kicks straight up toward the ceiling. And then with your next exhale, we'll bring the left knee in toward the belly. Inhale, stretch long. Maybe the right arm floats as well. Exhale, knee and or elbow in toward belly. Inhale, stretch long. And we'll bend that left leg, reach back with the right hand. Try to find the foot. If you find it, press the foot into the hand. Open that right shoulder. And then without slingshotting, on your next inhale, slowly release long. And let the hand and the shin come on back down to the ground. Inhale into cow pose. Exhale, cat all the way back into child's, and then we'll find that modified camel again. Coming up to seated on the heels, fingertips behind you. Lift your hips, and then sit right back down. Coming forward into table, let's tuck the toes and lift the hips for downward facing dog. And taking a couple breaths here to settle into your shape, maybe wagging your tail or pedaling out the feet and the legs. And with your next inhale, we'll bend the knees and glide forward to plank. Exhale, bend the knees and hips to the sky, downward facing dog. So we're going to call this little pose crouch. So bend the knees, crouching back, look forward, glide to plank, pull back into your crouch, and then back into downward facing dog. One more time, let's bend the knees, crouching, glide forward from the power of your legs into plank, back into your crouch, and back into downward facing dog. And then let's start to walk feet to hands or hands to feet, your choice. We'll end up in a standing forward fold. Once you have ankles below hips, allow yourself to drape over the legs, bending the knees as much as you need to, maybe grabbing opposite arm and swaying a bit or bouncing a bit. Just allow the head to be very heavy. On an inhale, let's find your halfway lift, and then exhale, fold. Once again, inhale, halfway lift, maybe fingertips stay closer to the ground this time, and then exhale, release. Inhale, let's rise all the way up to standing. Exhale, hands down into your heart. And let's come forward on the mat to set up for some sun salutations. Inhale, arms reach up toward the sky. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, and let's step your right leg back. Knee will come down to the ground. Inhale, Anjaneyasana, low lunge, hands reaching skyward. And then exhale, bend your elbows out to the side, any amount. Inhale, reach up tall toward the ceiling. And then exhale, bend the elbows out into that goalpost shape. One more time, maybe tapping into your core here, so really finding that scissoring of your legs as you reach up. And then as you bend the elbows, let your hips press forward. Exhale, hands down to the floor. And we'll slowly take it back into downward facing dog. From there, inhale, roll forward to plank pose. Knees up or down, chaturanga. And then one foot at a time, flip the feet, and let's come on up into cobra or upward facing dog, your choice. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot to the sky. Maybe opening the hip into scorpion down dog if you'd like. And then with your next exhale, we'll step the foot forward between your hands. Drop the back knee down to the ground and bring your hands on up to the sky. We'll do the same thing on this side. Exhale, bend those elbows, let the hips press forward. Inhale, straighten the arms, lift out of the depth of your lunge. Exhale, bend the elbows, hips press forward. One more time. And then we'll bring the hands down to the floor and step forward into your halfway lift. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, rise to stand, reaching up toward the ceiling. And exhale, hands down into heart. Again, similar but different. Inhale, hands reach. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lengthen halfway. And then exhale, fold, and we'll step your left leg back. This time we'll keep the back knee lifted as we rise up, crescent lunge. And let's put a little bend in your back leg. Exhale to bend the knee, inhale to straighten the leg. We're going to try and isolate that movement as we do that a couple more times, just to the back leg. How little can you move the rest of the body? Next, exhale, hands to the floor. And let's take it back nice and slow into downward facing dog. Inhale, plank pose. Chaturanga any way you'd like. making your way into cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot to the sky, maybe that scorpion down dog if that feels nice. And then we'll step the left foot forward with an exhale and rise on up, crescent lunge. And once you found your stability here, same movement in that back leg. Exhale to bend the right knee. Inhale to straighten the leg. Isolating the movement as much as possible into your back leg. And then next exhale, hands come down to the floor. Look forward, step forward, feet together. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up to stand. Big stretch to the sky. And then exhale, let's release the hands back behind you into a clasp. Knuckles toward the ground, shoulders back, heart lifting. Legs nice and strong. Deep breaths into the belly. And then keeping that clasp, let's fold forward over your legs. Maybe letting the clasp fall side to side for a little extra rotation and opening in the shoulders. And then slowly release the arms down to the floor or your shins. We're going to bend your right knee as you straighten the left leg and slowly take your left hand to the sky. It can stay reaching skyward or it can wrap around the back for a bind. Gaze is anywhere where the neck is comfortable. And then exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, other side. Left knee bends, right leg straightens. Right hand comes to the sky and then maybe wraps around the back for a half bind. And then with your next exhale, fold forward and let everything drape over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold, plant your hands. Let's step to plank. Chaturanga with your exhale. Inhale, back bend of your choice. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot to the sky. Maybe opening once again into that scorpion down dog, keeping the left waist long if you do that. And then with an exhale, let's step your right foot between your hands, ground your back heel for warrior one, and rise on up, hands to the sky. Once you found your stability, we'll lower the hands behind you into that clasp, knuckles toward the ground, heart lifts skyward, staying there if you'd like, or on an exhale, bowing forward into humble warrior. Inhale to lift, knuckles down, heart rises. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale to rise. Exhale to fold. One more time, inhale, rise. And this time as you lean forward, you can pause at halfway. You could go to humble warrior again, or you can step into that right foot and slowly lift into a bound warrior three. So keeping the clasp, unless that messes up your balance, you could release the arms if you'd like. And then we'll slowly lengthen and release back into crescent. Big reach up to the sky, and then exhale, hands come down to the floor. Keep the hips square as your right hand rises toward the ceiling into a twist. So left hand is on the ground. Exhale, right hand comes back down, and let's slowly take it back into three-leg down dog. From there, we'll roll forward to plank. Maybe drop the foot if you'd like, and bring it all the way through chaturanga down onto the belly. Let's go ahead and bend the right knee as you bring the arms forward into Sphinx. So elbows are directly below the shoulders. And you could stay right there. So left leg super active, right leg bent, or take your right hand and reach it back, grabbing onto the outer edge of the right foot. Press the foot into your hand. And try your best to square your shoulders to the front of your mat as you actively lift out of your left elbow and left shoulder. And slowly release that side, and let's switch to the second side. So again, finding a really strong Sphinx, and then let's bend the left leg. Maybe reach back for the foot. Press the foot into the hand. Square the shoulders as much as you can. And then without slingshotting, slowly release. Sphinx pose. And then slowly transition the hands back into cobra. Let's tuck the toes under, start to lift the quads, engage the low belly, and press straight up into plank, all the way back into downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot to the sky, again with the option to open into scorpion, down dog. And then we'll bring your left foot forward in between your hands. Back heel drops for warrior one. Rise on up. Big stretch toward the sky. And when you're ready, we'll drop the hands behind us for that clasp. And if you can remember which thumb was on top last time, switch it up. Exhaling to fold into humble warrior. Inhale to lift. And following your breath there a couple times. Trying to keep the weight evenly distributed between your front and your back foot. And then the next time you lift up, choose to keep 2 feet on the ground with just maybe a little halfway fold forward. Or start to come onto that left leg, rising into warrior three, potentially with the clasp remaining. Deep, steady breath here. And then slowly lengthen long front to back and release back into crescent. When you're ready, hands come down to the floor. Get your hips nice and square. Right hand stays down, left hand reaches to the sky for your T-twist here. And then with your next exhale, left hand comes to the ground and slowly take it up and back into your 3-leg down dog. We'll roll forward into plank. Keep the foot lifted if you'd like, and let's lower all the way down onto the belly. We're going to set up for a grounded locust pose here. So feet are going to stay actively pressing into the ground as you take your hands back behind you into a clasp. And use the hands reaching back, the shoulders drawing back while the sternum draws forward to find that length and lift that creates the upper body locust shape here. And then slowly release the hands to cobra position, tuck the toes under, get the legs strong, the belly strong, press up to plank, and back to downward facing dog. Slowly bend both knees, lower the knees down to the floor. And let's rise on up to kneeling. So hips over knees, tops of the feet actively pressing into the ground. And let's bring your hands to your low back. Your fingers could be pointing up, sideways, or down. Doesn't matter, just whatever feels most comfortable for you. And let's start to lift the sternum up toward the ceiling, so much so that it has no choice but to start to curl back into an arch in the upper back. Finding just the smallest bit of camel pose here. Maybe taking your hands into that clasp for a slightly deeper version. Maybe taking the hands to the heels for full camel pose. Tailbone lengthening toward the ground, a gentle firming of your belly button toward your spine as you continue to think about length all the way through the sternum and through the spine. And then slowly lift on up. Sit back on your heels and settle in for a couple breaths. Maybe closing the eyes and noticing any and all sensations that shape created in your body and in your energy, in your mind, and in your breath. And let's rise for one more round here. So coming on up, hips over knees, hands to the low back to start. Begin to create that coiling in the upper spine and the upper back and chest. You can stay here for the entire duration, or if you want a little bit more, hands come into that clasp, knuckles reaching for the ground. And then if you want a little bit more, hands come down to the heels at the same time, if you can, to find that full expression of camel pose. Deep breaths in and out of the belly, the low ribs. And with an inhale, slowly rise back up and sit back on your heels. Again, taking a couple breaths just to check in. And then let's come around onto the seat, legs out in front of us. Let's bend the right knee, cross the right foot over the left thigh. Option to wrap that left leg around you as well. We're going to come into a twist here. Left arm reaches to the sky with an inhale, sitting up nice and tall. And then with an exhale, you can wrap that left elbow around your right knee or take the elbow outside the right thigh. There's deeper options, of course, as well that you're welcome to go into if it's a part of your practice. Try to keep the weight on your right hand minimal. Broadening across the shoulders with every inhale. Releasing tension with every exhale. And then slowly let's go ahead and untwist and allow that right leg just to keep carrying over into Gomukhasana. And again, there's the straight left leg version of half Gomukhasana or left leg wrapped as well for full Gomukhasana. Knees stacked more or less. You can stay upright if you'd like, or you can start to bow forward over the legs. Inviting the hips to be heavy and if possible evenly heavy left to right. Your next inhale, let's rise. Lean back on your hands, release the legs, maybe let the legs flop around a little bit. And then we'll find the other side when you're ready. So left knee bends, left foot crosses over right thigh to stand on the floor. Option to wrap the right leg as well. Finding even distribution of weight across your sit bones, right hand comes to the sky with an inhale, and then on an exhale wraps around the left knee or right elbow outside the left thigh. Left hand is behind you to help guide the shape, but it's barely weight bearing. You could lift it off the ground to check every once in a while and just make sure that you can hold the posture without the left hand. Gaze can be anywhere where the neck is comfortable, and just make sure the breath is steady and full. Slowly begin to unravel from the twist and allow your left leg to continue crossing over the right for Gomukhasana. Again, with that option for half Gomukhasana, the bottom leg would be straight out in front of you. Options to sit tall or to fold forward. Just make sure the hips feel heavy. The breath is able to flow freely. With your next inhale, let's sit up nice and tall, unravel the legs, and journey on down to your back. As you come down into your back, let's bring the right knee into the chest. Allow the left leg to relax onto the ground, either bent or straight. And then let's take your hands onto your right hamstring and straighten and bend that right leg a couple times. Heel pressing toward the sky as you straighten the leg, and then heel pulling in toward your butt as you bend the knee. And we'll release the right leg to meet the left, arms up overhead, big stretch. And then left knee comes into the chest. Again, the right leg could be bent or straight on the ground. Start by hugging the knee into your chest. And then when you're ready, we'll replace the hands onto the back of the left hamstring and start to straighten and bend that left leg a couple times. Feeling the lengthening up the back side of the leg as you straighten it, the engagement of the back side of the leg as you bend the knee. And then slowly let the left leg relax down onto the ground to meet the right. Arms up overhead one more time, big full stretch. Maybe reaching longer through the right side and the left side. And then when you're ready for Shavasana, arms float down by your sides. And spending as much time as you have here today to settle into the breath and to allow yourself to find both stillness and silence in your body and, to the best of your ability, in your mind. Whatever you have in your agenda for the day, I hope this practice has given you the clarity, the peace, and the energy to take on the day. Thanks for practicing with me. Namaste.